Hello, and welcome to the Cinema Snobs VR cast. And we're your hosts. I'm Jimmie, and this green fellow over here is
Jake.
So, welcome to the strange but hopefully entertaining and different VR cast or podcast in VR mode. This is coming from the Bigscreen app, which you can get on your Meta Quest and various VR platforms. But we do a show screening films every Saturday night called Cinema Snobs, where basically we show everything from genre films to art house films. And that is the concept of this show is me being a 54-year-old man and my son Jake here being a 17-year-old teenage man. He is we do this show and we're basically going to talk about the films that we love. And the concept of the show is I'm going to pick something for Jake to watch, and Jake's going to pick something for me to watch. Now, if you look here at our lineup for this month, which our episode 1 here is labeled as Italy, and Italy is the topic of discussion here, where I pick a film from Italian cinema, genre cinema, which is my choice was The Fifth Chord, and Jake's choice was Miracle of Milan. And funny enough, you would think that's the other way around. That the 54-year-old man who's seen a lot of film and basically looking for artistic qualities is going to pick Miracle of Milan, but it's actually the opposite. Jake here picked Miracle in Milan, and I picked Fifth Chord. I guess he's trying to smart me up, and I'm trying to dumb him down.
Oh my god.
No, I make joke of it just because I think it's the opposite. I basically believe that you start out with the auteurs and for the biggest films and just best films, critically acclaimed films, and then you kind of move around the spectacle of all different genres and types. And obviously, I've seen a lot of the art house classics. The the Bergmans and the Fellinis, and in this case, the Sica, which is my first. So it's kind of cool that Jake saw this film before me and recommended it. So Jake, actually, a little bit quick about the film, not too much into it. We'll talk about that later. But like, why did you pick this one for me?
The main reason why I chose this one for you was because one, I know you're into Italian films, but you seem to only be interested in like ones from the 70s or late 60s or
Mm-hmm.
80s even. So you never really looked into the neorealism era of Italy, which is like its grandest era and like one of its most influential era, even in all of cinema. And I chose De Sica's Miracle in Milan, even over like Bicycle Thieves or Umberto D, because like it's like fantastical and entertaining
Mm-hmm.
and meaningful, and it shares a lot of themes with other films of its sort that are like easily compelling but entertaining. So
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's like I've definitely heard of him, but I just never got into his films before. I mean, I'm a big fan of Fellini,
mm,
and I've seen some neorealism, but I've never seen De Sica stuff. Although he was one of the people on a list, and when you're going through so much different film and genres, and just following the masters and a lot of like people you admire, their list and what they recommend. Believe me, this was on. I was well aware of it, but just never got to it. So I think it's a great example and a great choice. And tell us a little, tell everybody out there a little bit about current events. Is that we just got back from Italy. We were on a Mediterranean cruise for 2 weeks, and
yeah.
we definitely crammed and saw a lot of Italian films that I told you. Remember, I was like, we got to watch these things before we go to Italy, especially because we were fortunate to visit Cinecittà, the
Oh yeah.
studio in Rome, Italy, and they have a really cool Federico Fellini exhibit there. And I know we've seen some Fellini. We bought the box set, the Criterion box set, and we watched, of course, Eight and a Half and La Dolce Vita, and that was about it. And I said, when we go to Italy, because I know it was always in our plans years ago, we're gonna cram this and watch as many Fellinis as we can. And although we didn't get to too many, we did watch quite a bit of Fellini stuff, and it made it more special when we visited Cinecittà. And I know
Yeah.
Miracle in Milan was also um, filmed there. Some parts were filmed there, probably some of their studio stuff, because I did look in the credits there. I'm not sure what was filmed there, but it did say Cinecittà, so that must mean they did some shots there. Um, so yeah, and so I thought that this was a good topic, and the plan of the show is we're going to do different, whatever the topic will be. It could be a director series, it could be a country as today is, it could be genre, whatever. But I just thought it was kind of fitting that we chose Italy for this one, since we just got back from seeing such amazing sights and magical sights. And then as
Yeah.
far as my choice was the Fifth Chord, because I make joke of it that it's dumb and dumb, but like to me, uh, Giallo cinema is one of my favorite subgenres of horror, and it was really the birthplace for a lot of American horror, and this was one of those films. And I know you've seen some Giallo. We've watched some Argento together, but I mentioned I wanted to bring up the Fifth Chord, or have you watched that one, just because um, it's an example of how artistic Giallo can be and how serious it can be taken. Because I know a lot of it gets pretty campy, and people gratuitous gore, nudity, and all that. And we'll talk more about it when we get to it. But this one was just straight, you know, good detective who done it style film, and done by a master. And like I said, we will definitely get to that, and the people involved if you look at the credits in that film. So we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk about our first film, which I figured we start with Miracle in Milan. How's that sound?
That's good.
Very cool. All right, we will be back after this quick little pause.
All right, so we're gonna begin with Miracle Milan, which is the film that I recommended to my dad to watch. It's directed by Vittorio De Sica, who is famed for having directed Bicycle Thieves, which is arguably the most influential Italian film to ever come out in post-war Italy. And this film kind of shares a lot of themes with Bicycle Thieves, as it's a neorealism film, except this one's a little bit different because it's fantastical and surreal, and there's a lot of symbolism in it, usually that you wouldn't find in Bicycle Thieves because that's more like political based. But this one would be kind of, even though it does deal with class, this one's more is dealing with like dreams and like like wishes coming
Yeah,
true, and it feels like a fantasy, like something you'd find in like a children's book or something.
yeah, and what's funny is like my first reaction was like I wrote down whimsical, is because the score, which was very Nino Rota, I noticed. I'm sure that it's just that they were. I don't know. I didn't really look into too much, but they were either partners or they maybe were aware of each other's work, but
I mean,
it
they all
sounded
knew
very
each other
similar.
back then.
Yeah, it was like one big family, I would assume. But I just felt like it was Nina Rota could have scored this film. That was my first thought. But I'm glad he didn't, because there's room for more, or room for others. But anyway, that was my first thought. Like, so right away, I knew that it was going to be. Or I didn't expect that, but I knew it was going to be somewhat kind of fantastical. And that's another thing too. I didn't even look up the genre. I just thought, when you say neorealism, I just
Yeah, I
kind
bet
of
you were a little shocked, huh?
pictured it being. I was pre-thinking that it was going to be a little more serious and political and all that, but it was, but like political, but it definitely was way more fantasy and lighthearted and
Yeah.
sentimental and beautiful
Oh
film.
yeah.
Number one, beautiful film, and just really, really blown back on. And this is definitely, going to be top of first time watches for me for the year. I'll talk
Okay,
about that later as
nice.
far as score, but anyway, like I really loved like all the metaphorical shots. Like started from the beginning, like the baby.
Oh yeah.
He was like a baby in his and like grown from like a row of in plants, like if the mother was planting him, like he was unearthed from
Yeah,
the
I do.
gods. There's just so much metaphor stuff. But I really love how he was like, um, and we're talking about the character of his name was
Toto.
Toto, right? Played
Yeah.
by what's the actor's name again? Francesco Golisano.
Yeah, who, if I'm
Gilisano.
correct, didn't really do that many films, huh?
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised, like, all right, who's this leading character? But yeah, he was
Yeah, but
great.
De Sica, he did that in Umbrella D because his lead actor, he was only in one film ever. He was like an inexperienced actor, but he killed it pretty much. So like he's kind of known for working with like, actors who don't really have big names, but
Oh yeah, well he
utilizing
was
their force.
right. He was really good. Like I just love, it's fresh in my mind. I watched it last night, and I just love how it went from him being like this little boy, and just told by I love the shot of him just going into the orphanage, and then just goes to black and comes out him coming out of the orphanage as a
Yeah,
grown
yeah, yeah,
man.
with the suitcase, yeah.
I love that, and like, and his
Mhm.
mother obviously instilled so much optimism and hope,
Yes, yes, that's
and
like the theme of the film, yeah.
yeah, and like he was saying "Buongiorno" to people, and one guy's like, "Why are you saying "Buongiorno" to me? You don't know me." And he's like, "Well, I'm saying "Buongiorno." Like he was just so full of hope. And then he meets a homeless man who steals his bag, if you remember that,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
then he chases him down. You would think he would be angry, but he actually just said, "Go ahead and keep it. I don't need it."
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
then the man took him in, and basically they built a homeless camp together,
Yeah.
and just such a great story of how positive, like no matter what your situation in life is, you can find beauty
The
and
light in it,
hope.
yeah.
Yes, making lemonade out of lemons. It's just such a great story. And
Mhm.
yeah, like so many great things. I love how the some key things that stood out was how they made like a piazza, and they found that statue of a woman, and that was like the
Yeah, yeah.
center. That was the center of their
Uh-huh.
town. Their little town was like a piazza. Like the statue
Yeah.
is always represents the center of the hangout area. And any other scenes that stood out to you that you remember? I know, how long ago was it that you seen this, by the way?
Well, it's been probably like a year, give or take, I don't know. But
Hmm.
anyways, the thing that I always remember in this film is obviously the ending. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Should we speak on that? Are we allowed to like spoil stuff?
Oh, spoil. Yes, you know why? Because it is a movie from it's 1951.
51.
So if you didn't have a
Yeah,
chance
if you
to
haven't
see it,
seen it
yeah,
yet, it's
that's
your
your
fault.
fault. But
All right,
I guess
anyways,
spoiler alert from this to this on this
of
point
course,
on.
of course. So the ending where they all get on broomsticks, it's like, you know,
Yeah.
visual effects back then were definitely not so like vast. And I mean, yeah, it's like faulty, but like it's it's just the idea, it's just the premise, and it really is kind of like, you know, you really feel that scene because the whole film is like it's surreal the whole time, but then that happens and you're like, okay, yeah, I just watched like a fairy tale kind of film.
Hmm.
But anyways, there's a lot of like fantastical imagery in this film, obviously, and starting from the beginning when like the light comes down on all the
Right.
people,
Right. The sunlight.
and um that kind of like concretes my idea on the fact that I think that Toto is like a bit of a Christ figure because like everyone there, like, they don't believe in anything, they're just hopeless, but
Anything
then he brings
hopeful?
hope
Yeah.
for them. And I
Right.
mean,
Right.
he literally creates like magic for all the people to be happy,
Right.
and that's just like, and
Oh yeah.
also, sorry, but the most memorable part of this film for me, obviously, has to do with like race when the white girl and the black guy like each other and they change each other's races so they can appeal
Hmm.
to each other. Like that
Yeah.
was just like ahead of its time, a little bit daring, especially for like a post-fascist nation.
Right.
So
Right. No, that as far as the fantastical part of it, like I was just, and the visual effects, I should say, is I was really really happy to see like the Sika was like he didn't have any his ideas were huge, but it didn't limit him from what he did. It was
Oh yeah.
like he had such big ideas, and even though the visual effects couldn't have matched those ideas, he just said, "Screw it, I'm going to do the best I can." And
Yeah,
once you
yeah.
see that with like the sunlight thing, because I was like, "Oh, but that's obviously like a spotlight," it was like a weird kind of
Mhm.
visual effect, but it's like it was just a point. He that's what pure cinema is. He just made his point the way you can make your point. It doesn't have to be exactly the way it should look in real life.
Yeah.
and and that's why like I loved what he was doing. Was like he was just making best of what he can do with the visual effects at the time. And so by the time we got to that ending with the broomsticks, it was like, who cares that it's like obviously mats and like bad special effects. So it just worked.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he told his story the best he can, no matter what his limitations were. That's the number one thing. But yeah,
Of course, yeah.
so yeah, just a great film. I really wished I did have time before the show. Actually, I saw it on. We watched it on HBO Max, right? I don't have the criterion of this, but there
Yeah.
is a criterion. And in most cases, after I watch a movie that I really love, I go right to the supplemental stuff and materials and watch behind the scenes and learn more about it. Um, so this is obviously a movie that I watched that it will be a disc I pick up in the future so I can see that stuff.
Okay, cool,
So thank you, my son, my green little son, for
cool.
for the great recommendation. And yeah, so after this next little break, we're gonna come back and watch and talk
Are we
about
supposed to rate?
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Okay. All right. So now that we talked about Miracle Milan a little bit, we're gonna speak on our ratings. And since I recommended it to my dad, I want to save his opinion last, and I'll just simply say that on Letterboxd, I give it 4 out of 5.
Mm,
As it's a great film. And it's limited by some things, but you know it's it's kind of a one of a kind film. Like, and when you watch this film, it doesn't matter what age you are, and that's one of
hmm
the things to it. This film is appealing to all ages because it's meaningful to every age group and to every class and everyone. Everyone would
hmm
find this film meaningful and compelling. But anyways, I
Yeah,
give this film 4 out of 5.
cool, beautiful. But I agree as far as to elaborate on that is like it's the kind of movie that a lot of people would probably not watch because of the subtitles and that. But
Yeah,
like,
and because of
believe
the
me, if there's
time,
ever
and
going to be a movie that you're going to give a chance because it's a
it better
foreign
be this
film,
one.
this should be one of the ones.
Really, it's
That
so
it's easy.
approachable to all.
Yeah, it's a perfect. What do they say? It's a perfect gateway film for subtitled films.
Oh
I
yeah.
think.
Oh,
You
it
know.
really is. Yeah.
So anyway, okay. So my score is, and you'll be shocked, is a 4.5 stars
Oh my
because
God, thank you.
lit,
Everything I
lit,
recommend
yeah.
to you is you're underwhelmed by it. So
No, well, I,
not everything, but like,
yeah, like no, really, this one was just like you said, what I liked was the limitations. Like it's like
of
it
course, yeah,
for a movie to be so powerful with those little limitations, like that's why it's like it deserved. That's what gave it an extra half star. Because yeah, it's
oh
not
yeah,
perfect, but I mean,
it's charming.
it's
Like,
perfect.
not only
Yes,
is the film itself charming, but like the actual production of it.
yeah, just how what they did to pull it off. But like just in the
Exactly.
story today, the story is very meaningful today. I mean, it's
Yeah.
about basically class and like like at the time too. Like there was people were considered you're crap. You're poor. You're nothing. You're meaningless. And and Toto didn't live by that.
Yeah.
He didn't care about that.
He
And
was like completely ignorant to it, but to his advantage.
yeah, and the only thing that kind of surprised me was that like some of the things they were wishing for were very material things. Like when they were all wishing for fur coats and
Oh yeah, of course, of
money and
course.
the material things. And I'm surprised. Like today, if they talk about that, they would probably make a point where those things don't matter. But like
Yeah,
I
but like
still think,
we just came from
yeah.
Italy, and if I learned anything, it's that Italy is an extremely materialistic country.
Well, okay, yeah.
You know.
Well, it just I'd say as far as like the message would be more like you don't need these things to be happy. They still didn't really talk about that. They didn't really address that. It was just more like, hey, whatever you want, you can get. And at the time, I think people did think those things were would make you happy? I don't know. That's the one thing that was a um, little different that
Well,
I didn't think it would probably go there. Like especially here's one that was a major thing is when the black character said, "I want to be white," and I was like, "Wow,
yeah.
I'm surprised they said that." And but then
Well,
of
no,
course
it's
yeah,
because he wanted to be with a girl though. I
right,
know when I first seen that I was like, okay, that's weird, but then it was for the girl, so I was like, okay,
right, and
there's a
then of
charm
course
to it.
she wished to be black,
To be
and that was
black,
a
yeah.
great. She would come out in blackface. That was a great, a great little shot
Well,
there,
no,
just to
that
close
was
it off.
good because those characters like they didn't get the idea of like they could still love each other, but they kind of
Yeah,
like underestimated the like other person's idea on race. So
yeah,
then when the black guy came out to her as white and the white girl came to him as black, they're still on the same page because they did that for each other. So
right, right. So
I
if
just
anything,
imagine, they cut away from it, but I just imagine they got together except the dude was white now and the girl was black.
yeah,
So
I know it was perfect because if anything, like there, it's just kind of like saying like just be yourself. That was the whole message. Just be
yeah, yeah,
yourself, and you can be
of
happy.
course.
And that was the number one thing. So anyway, yes, I'm glad we elaborated more on the movie. But yeah, I say 4.5, and yeah, thanks. That was great. All right, so
Okay.
after this quick break, we're going to. Oh, sorry, I dropped my phone. After this quick break, we're going to talk about the fifth chord. All right, so we are back, and we're going to talk about the film that I picked, which was a 1971 Giallo called The Fifth Chord, directed by Luigi Bazzoni, who, for fans of Italian genre cinema and Giallo especially, may know also his other film, Footprints on the Moons, which I got 2 years later. And but
Yeah.
as far as this film, oh yeah, let me go to a quick synopsis. So a maverick, heavy drinking journalist pursues a killer who is targeting acquaintances of his, promoting the
Hmm.
police to brand him a suspect in the investigation. Now, this film, of course, is played by Franco Nero of Django fame, and actually, I think this is Franco Nero's only Giallo he's made. Um, I know he's done some, obviously westerns and Polizia stuff, maybe. And I say that maybe just because I didn't really follow too much of his career
I doubt it.
rather than Django. So yeah,
Yeah.
and this one, but yeah. So first off, what did you think of this film? I know that you've seen some. I know you've seen Giallo stuff. We know we watched Argento stuff mainly. Saw some Sergio Martino, but again, the reason why I recommended this one to you is because I know that you like it more serious stuff and not so campy and stuff like that. So this one I thought you would really enjoy for its straightforward artistic approach. Is that what you saw?
Yes, I did. But with that being said, I feel like it does fall into some like, you know, major Giallo tropes
Mm-hmm.
that Argento like masterfully stared away with. And, to elaborate on that, film is like 100% spawned from The Bird with the Crystal Plumage because
Yes.
like it's that film like changed the game. Like before that there's Bava and he was
Mm-hmm.
elegant, and then, like we always talk about Argento, he made it kind of like, modern and like hip, right?
Right.
And this film obviously touches on that. It even has the posters on the wall kind of thing there
Oh
too,
yeah.
which like they feel like they have to go back to a lot. But I I'm not saying that as a fault because I mean that was a good approach. Argento had a good approach in Bird with the Crystal Plumage, and now Bazzoni has a good approach in the fifth chord.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think it's a good film. I do think that it has some really memorable scenes, and that opening was great, and the ending was probably one of the best chase scenes I've ever seen.
Hmm.
Um,
Wow. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and as a Giallo, like there's gonna be Giallo is like extreme. It's like it really plays with tropes a lot, especially post Argento. So I think that the fifth chord is like, it's imperfect, obviously, but for what it is, I thought I was really entertained by it, and it was
Yeah.
stylish, and that's really all you need. And the Morricone score is perfect,
Mm-hmm.
and the cinematography by I believe his last name is Stodato.
Vittorio Storato. It's for
Yeah,
Storato. Oh, did you happen to look
yes,
him
and he
up?
shot Coppola's stuff,
He shot
Apocalypse
Apocalypse
Now,
Now. I actually
and The
just learned that.
Conformist, I think, right?
The Conformist. Yep, The Conformist. I
Which
knew
is
he
like one of the
did,
best films ever shot.
which I
Yeah.
haven't seen. That's actually a one that I'd like to get to sometime because I haven't seen it yet. If we ever do one where we watch a movie we have neither of us seen, or did you see Conformist? Did you see
I did
Conformist?
see, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, yeah, see, I never got to that one yet, and that's actually one that I really want to because of the cinematography. But
Oh,
I
yeah, it's a
didn't,
must.
I didn't know that he shot Apocalypse Now, and then I didn't know
Yeah.
that he did The Conformist until I saw
Mhm.
Fifth Chord. But after watching it again, I was like, oh yeah, that was the number one thing that stood out about this movie was the cinematography.
Cinematography, it's, like, so crisp, like and then you go and
Beautiful.
watch, I don't mean to bash on Lenzi because he's made good films,
Hmm.
but, in particular, Eyeball, not the most appealing film to look at. Sorry.
which we
And
watched
there's some
because we
good
went to
Giallo imagery.
Barcelona.
Yes, exactly. But anyways, you know, when it comes to, this film and its cinematography, I think that that's really what stood out, and there's a lot of, like, experimental shots with, like, fisheye lenses and stuff like that,
Great shot,
and,
great
the
shots.
handheld cameras, like,
Hmm.
really, really, really amazing cinematography,
Yeah.
and, cinematography, the music, that's usually what carries Giallos along.
Hmm.
Sometimes the stories fall short. I wouldn't say that about the fifth chord, but in a lot of them, the story falls short,
Yeah.
and, that's why, uh, that's why Deep Red's the GOAT forever, but anyways.
Well, anyway, what I wanted to add about the cinematography is another thing. Do you know he also shot Bird with the Crystal Plumage, Vittorio Storaro? So if
Um
yes,
I
he
feel
shot.
like I don't wanna say yeah, but, like, I feel like my
Well,
eyes
I
have
looked it up.
scanned
He
that
did.
before, so
I looked it
but
up.
I
He did.
mean,
And
no,
so,
no, I know he did. I'm just saying, like, if yeah, it seems like he did, so yeah.
so what I took away from this after really learning more about the production of the film is, and I hate to assume, but this is what I do when I see. I always
Okay, yeah.
pretty much.
We're here to assume.
No, I mean like as far as like seeing how it all came together, psychologically.
Okay, yeah.
Like Bazzoni saw Bird of Crystal Plumage and probably said, "I can do that better." And he used Ennio Morricone and he used Vittorio
Yeah,
Storaro, but he didn't do it better because the one thing
yeah, of
that I
course.
think he didn't get is what Giallo. I know there's people like different kind of the tropes and stuff, but the tropes that he didn't bring in are the ones that are really the fan favorites, which is the gore and the nudity, and those are all the other pieces of the puzzle. Is not nudity, I shouldn't say that, but more of the sexiness of it. Like um,
Yeah,
those
but
are the
isn't that what kinda
things.
killed the genre? Because then it
No,
was, like,
you're
dry of all its art once they brought that in, not
yes,
gonna
but
lie.
that's what I mean. You're right. This is exactly why I brought this film forward to you. It's like this is
Yeah,
how it should be done when it is. If it would have stayed artistic and about style, artistic quality, and just good stories, like detective whodunits, this is a great one. This is the masterpiece for that.
it is, yeah.
But the reason why I feel Argento became who he is and took the genre to where it is because he had those other elements that more of the youth culture probably appeal to, you know,
Yeah.
with the gore and all this stuff. And then that's what put it in the horror category. This one is straight up thriller. There's really no horror. There was one throat slash scene, if you recall, um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and if you notice too, like as much as those stalk and kill scenes, were so suspenseful. And I loved how he was very
Yeah.
confident and took his time in those rather than like getting right to the kills, which
Oh,
happened
yeah,
and
of
got
course.
watered down. So he had a lot of
Yeah.
confidence in shooting those. But you notice that there was no music. Like and that's
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Argento, like no, when you
Argento
see a
always does that,
movie
yeah.
or see a murder, you're gonna feel the operatic through the music build
It's
up for it.
playing with music,
Yeah, and so that's what
and
I'm
not
saying.
just any music, goblin music.
Yeah. So it's just funny how, like, to me, and this again, it's an assumption, but like he looked at that and said, "I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done. If I shoot one of these, I'm not going to put the music. That's that. If I'm going to shoot, I'm not going to have the funny elements. I'm not going to have the funny, quirky characters like like Genta would have. With the cat eating guy and the
That's true. Yeah, there was no
thing.
like
Like,
quirkiness in that film,
and
honestly.
but those are things that I think appeal commercially and more mainstreamish. And I'm not
Yeah,
saying it's not one's better than the other because I like both. But you look at most people talking about this movie Fifth Quarter, and they're going to say it was boring. And that's the number one thing is you don't want to bore your audience. Argento,
yeah,
I feel, did Giallo is artistic and clean, especially with his first his animal trilogy films, and as this is, but he got that other element which took him to the next level, and that's the
yeah.
difference. But yeah, so Luigi Bazzoni, like I said, he also did Footprints and Footprints on the Moon, also known as, and he did the same with that. It was a really, really slow burned, psychological avant garde. Way more than this. It's not necessarily a killer, black love killer, nothing like that. But that's another one you might want to check out. Is which came out
Okay.
on Severin, and it's on the box set that we have. But so yeah, cool. Fifth Chord. I thought it was a really good one to bring up. So to kind of give, like I said, a little bit of the this is how artistic and straightforward and clean it could be. And maybe for the next time I recommend one, it'll be the complete opposite, which will be something like Strip Nude for Your Killer, or or like um, what's another one? Well, we already saw Torso, but the ones that are just like sleazy and just over the top craziness. So there's all types of Giallo out there. But
All right.
very cool. All right, anything else you want to add to
Yeah.
Fifth Quarter? And then give me your score. Or I'll give you my score on it after my rewatch of it.
Okay.
I'm gonna
I do have
say
things to add though.
okay. Okay, good.
Okay. So you said that this film wasn't as like scary, right? Is that what you said?
No, I said it wasn't as um, gore and more for the
Gore,
younger
you're
audience.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
It
I do
didn't have that
think there's
shock factor.
really
Didn't have the shock factor or like,
shock
just
factor. Yes,
yeah, stuff
correct.
like
Yeah.
that. But no, scary. Go ahead. Yeah, I think I know what you're gonna say.
Scary, the ending, obviously, when he, like I think the little kid actor, he did a pretty good job.
Wasn't that awesome? Yes, that little. I mean,
That
man,
kid, yeah,
I was like,
that
did
kid
you
was
think
good.
for a minute, are they gonna kill this kid? I'm sure you probably thought he wouldn't kill him,
No,
but
no
like,
way.
could you
And of
imagine
course,
if they
when
did?
Franco Nero just came behind, I'm like, okay, obviously,
But
yeah.
how
But
freaking scary must that have been for a little kid to go through that? Like, if you would have saw this movie when you were
no, no,
younger,
yeah,
it would have freaked you out, wouldn't it?
I do think that was scary, and you know, so been comparing Bird with the crystal plumage and the fifth chord, which you kind of have to do if you're reviewing it. You have to mention the film. Like you can't not mention it. But the imagery in Bird with the crystal plumage are it's like kind of unbeatable for its time. Once Deep Red came out, then the genre was really changed, and it was never topped after that too, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I like the leather jacket, and I like the coat, the trench coat, or whatever you want to call it, and the boots, and the mask, and all that. And this film does the same thing. It's just that like instead he wears like what, like pantyhose.
Over his face. Over his
Yeah,
face. You know what? I wasn't really clear what it was. It was something like that. It wasn't necessarily panels, but they did. Yeah, they did cover his face with a thick kind of a liner or something.
yeah,
But I like also he wasn't it funny how like they left a black glove as like a kind of a clue and thing that he would
yeah.
leave, but he didn't use black
No,
gloves. So it's kind of
uh,
another thing. It's kind of like Bazzoni saying like, well, Argento did the black glove. I'm going to do the surgical
yeah. I'll
gloves.
use it as like a MacGuffin. That's it.
But right, but I'll use the black glove, which was really cool too. Like I said, it's just my assumption, but I feel he just like purposely did things different of what he would have after watching Bird. This is the way I would do it. And so it was a
Oh yeah,
play on
no.
that.
It's
That's
like
obviously capitalized on the success of that movie
Yeah,
at the
it's
time.
like it's like Tarkovsky making Solaris after he hated 2001.
Hmm.
So
All right,
like
good example.
he had his own approach on it, but
But
um
yeah, the scares, man. I like
yeah,
that little kid and
they
that
were good.
that was really good. And the lady in the wheelchair. I mean, just such like
Oh yeah.
suspense and like again, like the only thing I felt that was missing was there wasn't like a dramatic musical buildup, but again, that was not his idea to do that. He
Yeah.
wanted to do something different. But I feel that that could have impacted it even better.
Hmm.
Like to have the building music, especially Morricone. I don't. That's one thing. Although I do love the score and I do own the soundtrack, and the soundtrack is amazing. Like there's so much music
It
on there
is.
that's not in the movie. There's a lot of stuff that's not in the movie. I'm surprised they didn't use. The opening theme, of course, is great, and then like there's some other parts, some other pieces, and like the La 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 woman singing and stuff. I don't know if that's Etta Orso, the singer, or not, but um,
Likely.
that is very cool in there. But anyway, what I was gonna say about the music is I don't think they use Morricone's music as much as they probably should have or would have in other films. It's kind of like he held him back a little bit, which I think was a mistake, and that's why I was saying I would have loved to hear more of his music during those scenes of murders and
Of
stuff.
course, yeah.
So, all right, anything else?
Wait. Also, I feel like the whole thing about how the killer pledges to kill 5 people in the beginning.
Right.
Don't you think that's a lot like 7?
Oh yeah, I definitely thought about Seven at all during this as well. Just like I said about the smooth, clean thriller story. Like yes, I definitely
Yeah.
thought about Seven. That was really cool.
And there's like a psychological and like jealous element to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like that's another reason why I like think I knew you would like this because it was yeah. I mean, Fincher, right? Fincher did Seven, and it's like
Yeah.
to me, like I don't know, I maybe Fincher saw this film. Not necessarily with the story with
Yeah.
the Seven Deadly Sins, but just like the style of doing a Giallo. And same with De Palma.
Hmm.
The I think got to assume more because it's fun. Like I think when Bazzoni saw this one and said I can do it better, De Palma said I can do Bazzoni and Argento better. Because that's what he does.
Yeah,
So
and he kind of did if you think about it.
and that's true. And that's true. I hate to say it, like, boy, what a great steal. But all right, so all
Well,
right, well, let me rate it then. Like I said, after rewatching this, I'd love to give it more. But like I said, those missing elements for me,
yeah,
it could have been a 4, but I'm gonna say a 3.5.
I'm with you too.
Cool.
And major setback was the fact that these films usually kind of have too much plot, and that film kind of falls into that trope in the middle run. But like I said, once the final act comes along, it really catches you again. And then the beginning also is great. So,
Yeah.
there are some parts in the middle that like kind of dragged a little bit, but
Right.
it's a short film and it's usually always entertaining. So I think it's a film worth watching, especially to people who are like Giallo completists.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I would assume that most Giallo fans have seen this one. It got
Yeah.
pretty big wide releases. Arrow Films put it out on Blu-ray.
Hmm.
I actually, the first time I saw this was from a Japanese Blu-ray copy, or no, a DVD, a
Really?
Japanese DVD, because I couldn't find it anywhere else. When I was on a hunt for Giallos, when I first started getting into them, the only way I could find this one was from an imported Japanese DVD, and I still own that. But then Arrow came out with it and really, really cleaned it up and made it look good. That's another thing too. I mean, obviously, we talk about the cinematography, the shots, but the colors and stuff really are.
Oh yeah.
Nothing as elaborate is like Argento's work, but just the way that they would like use color in the background and just like silhouettes over like in shadows and like you could see green popping through, and it's just great looking film. So if anything, this is one
Yeah.
that's that story is not definitely doesn't earn that 3.5. The story to me would be more like a 2.5, between 2.5 and 3 as far as story, just because it did get a little um, convoluted and just like boring, like you were saying.
Convoluted. Yeah.
But like,
It's like
um,
a web of characters that
yeah, and like
usually aren't always
and I
that
don't think they
interesting.
really kind of pieced that whole thing together about the story about the whole like sex ring and filming and for freaks and all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They
What
could
was
have
that
they could
about?
have took that a lot further. That's that to
They
me
could
again
have.
that would have been cool if they
But
took that a little further.
when it's style over substance,
Yes, style of
obviously,
substance gives it that extra half
the
star.
main idea about that scene was just like, okay, let's get that one shot of their silhouettes and like
Yeah, that's so funny.
it was about the sets,
Yes. Did you notice that? I mean, that's what I love. Like watching it
but
just
it looked
reminded
cool,
me
so it won me over.
of you could just like have two people talk and say something, but why just have them say something when it's just on a over the shoulder or something shot or even a two shot. I love how if people are gonna say something, put it with a really cool background with a cool spiral staircase. I mean, that's was like
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
way you
yeah.
do it. So I know you're working on
Hmm.
your short film right now. You guys and the brothers are working on a short film, and just think of those things. Like even the basics of shots could have style. And hopefully,
Yeah.
maybe that's why subconsciously I did pick this for you. Is like throw a little bit of that style in there. Because
Okay, thank you.
because you are doing it subconsciously. I think you're doing it, but I think the more films you watch of this especially when it comes to like crime and all that, the more you realize that you can still have style in those kind of run and gun kind of shows or
Yeah.
films. So, all right, very cool. All right, well, that is the fifth chord, and we're not going to wrap it up yet. We're going to come back after this break and talk about what we're going to do for next month.
You can see. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's half two of Dust 2 between
is an essential part of the game design. There's a high.
It's explosive.
Okay, so we're back. And by the way, the commercial you just watched was the Bigscreen VR application, which again is what we're running on, and what you're seeing is basically you can make a theater you could choose different theaters and screen films in there and share it with other people. It's a social media application where you can get up to 15 people in the theater. So what Cinema Snobs is not only this podcast or this cast show, but it's actually a screening that we do every Saturday called Cinema Snobs, where we show a film and we invite everybody from all over the world, basically whoever can jump in the room and growing our community. So come and check that out if you have an Oculus or any of the other headsets that use the platform and download the application of Bigscreen. So definitely check that out if you're not familiar with it, and you can see what actually the films that we talk about on a monthly basis. So speaking of that, Jake, we're going to talk about what we're going to do next month. So again, the format is you pick something you want me to see. I pick something that I think you should see. And my choice for the first month was Italy. Next month, August, will be your choice. So what is your theme choices of movies? And by the way, we don't know what the movies are yet. We just know what the theme is.
Yeah.
So we're going to reveal what
Yes.
the movies are. So, okay, you're picking a movie for me.
So we have agreed upon the fact that the next theme is gonna be aliens. So
Right?
like it has to be sci-fi based, but aliens in specifically.
Okay.
And the film that I chose for you to watch is the French film from the 1970s with one of the most groovy soundtracks of all time called Fantastic Planet.
Oh, wow. Nice. Yes. I haven't seen that one yet. And yes, I had
Okay,
heard
thank
such
God.
great things about that soundtrack. And so you did see this. I remember you were talking about this. You saw about a year ago, right? Or was it
Yeah.
longer? Okay. Nice.
Maybe like 2 years. Yeah.
Okay. So let's
And it's a short film too. It's like 70 minutes only.
right. And it's from France, right? What year is it again?
Yeah.
What year?
I believe 73.
Nice. Okay, well, before I reveal mine, let's take a quick look at the trailer. So let me flip around here.
Okay. Hopefully there's a good trailer because I could imagine that there isn't.
Well, yeah, there should be. I haven't. We're on YouTube here, which is a non. So I'm not signed in. There's an issue with Bigscreen where I can't sign in right now at this time, but I can search. So let me go and look for. Pull up my little keyboard here. See, guys, all this is super cool. If you get the app, fantastic. Basically, what you do is you share a screen in a room. And our theater, by the way, is called the Retro Theater, which looks like a grindhouse, like an old school theater. Or you can choose like a modern cinema. Right now, the theater that we chose is this. It's called the Screening Room, which is where we do our show. Okay, Fantastic Planet. Let me find here. Trailer. Yeah, all I really know about this movie is the actual soundtrack.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay. Surrealism, I take it.
Oh yeah.
Do you know the director of this film?
Fantastic Planet.
Like Renee Claire or something like that. Pretty sure.
Oh yeah, see, I recognize already.
Special Grand Prize. Cannes Film Festival.
C-73, I was right.
Yeah. Oh, this would be great. So yeah, so basically,
Fascinating.
We'll be
A fine
screening
adventure story.
on the Cinema Snobs VR cast next month, prior to taping our show.
Brilliant. I recommend it.
So how does this get on your radar? Is it just from being on like the Letterboxd group and stuff, or how'd you hear about it?
Spellbinding science fiction.
Yeah, I'd say it's being on Letterboxd, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, this is definitely one of the most influential animation films. So is there an actual story to it, or is it more just a visual musical ride?
It is, but like, yeah, visuals overlap all that, to be honest. But there is a story.
Wow, I'm gonna have to get this on like a really good HD copy. Is this actually on Criterion? You know?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Is it? Huh.
Fantastic Planet.
Yeah, I'd really like to see it in like the best quality ever.
Yeah,
Nice.
Dad, don't worry. It was on HBO. Like, it looked really good. I don't know where it is now. It's free on YouTube. It looked just fine. That's where I first seen it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Very cool. Well, I'm looking forward to that. And so now, what I can do is I'll reveal the Let me go back here. I'm gonna reveal the film that I'm gonna pick for you next month, right here. So do me a favor and don't look at the screen just as I type
All right,
in.
I'm not. I swear to God.
So I'll actually reveal it by just playing the trailer. And I know you've heard of this, but it's just a super cool movie that I think that, I mean, it's a pretty mainstream commercial film, but I just thought it was really well done. And honestly, I don't even know who directed it, but this is them. Hold on, I gotta go.
I literally think I know what it is.
Yeah, you probably do. But let me just. So look at the screen. Not now, but look at the screen, and then you'll know what the trailer is. Okay, here we go. This is what your film is.
Look now.
Yeah.
The newcomers have arrived.
It's
They
kind of
have
bad
their
quality.
own
though.
customs, their own mysteries,
Slagtown, I hate this place.
and their own
You know what it is
crimes.
so far?
My fellow newcomers will work very
He
hard
showed it to
make
me
as
like a
much
long
money as
time
they
ago.
can to give to me.
Sykes, here's your new partner.
My true name is Stangya Sorens A.
Sorrento, well, gesundheit.
Now, James Caan
So what do you got?
This was like a
anything.
pretty popular movie in the 80s.
and Mandy Patinkin
it was a
headed
mainstream
deep
hit. They actually made a
into newcomer
TV show
territories.
out of it.
Get the Well, your mother mates out of season.
Into the heart of a mystery.
I think it's pretty timely too politically because it's like
Inside an
about
alien world of violence,
a new
desire,
Tell me the truth.
people
Have you ever
taking over
made it with one
Los
of us?
Angeles, which is
and power.
could be a metaphor for a lot
from
of
our
things going on
past,
today.
resurrected for our future.
It is called Jabluka. Your people do not know about this part of our past.
And it was actually at the time
darkest fears.
making a statement as well.
He's dead. No, he's not.
It's got a great,
Lies an evil
political
beyond
message and a great ending, which
imagination.
is about peace.
Alien Nation.
Yeah, so Alien Nation, 1988. I did. I did bring it up to you, and I probably said, like I do a lot, is, oh, you need to see this. You need to see this. So, yeah, that's.
Yeah,
that's
you know
the
what's
one.
funny though?
What's that?
It was so long ago. I don't even remember finishing the film, but I remember you showed this to me and Nico.
We never watched it though. I don't think we've seen. I might have showed you the trailer.
No, we watched it, I swear. Nico watched it. I fell asleep.
Really? So you remember? You were
Yeah, I
you were
swear,
pretty
yeah.
young though. I think this was a phase when I was showing you guys like, the Warriors and things like that. So you were pretty young. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, man.
Okay. Very cool. All right. Well, I think you gave me a typical of our style of a show where you give me the more intellectual artsy stuff and I give you the the popcorn sleaze. But no, that's what's cool is we're gonna do a little bit of both on this show. So there you go, everybody. That's what we're gonna watch for next month's show, and that wraps it up. So if you anything you want to add to the movies, or you want to just go into your plugs for how we can find each other and stuff online.
Yeah. So I'm not very consistent on YouTube, but we're gonna be posting the podcast or video cast on here on the channel called Speaking on Flicks, which you're watching on now. And I'm usually not consistent on it, but since we're gonna be posting on here, then I might be making new things on it.
Well, you can at least count on the show every month, right?
Time or whatever. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We'll be doing the show monthly, but you do also a lot of like reviews and you could do like video essays and things like that. And sometimes you do. What do you call it when you show like clips, but then you just cut music to it? I mean, it's kind of similar to my Cinemixes, but you call them what the
a slice of.
A slice of. I love those. You have a series called A Slice of. So what's some of the ones? What's some of the ones you've done actually?
My favorite one I did was Winter Light by Bergman.
So A Slice of Winter Light. Right on.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what about your Letterboxd? And talk about your reviews.
Oh, Letterboxd, just under Jake Gonzalez. And yeah, I pretty much review every film that I watch, unless it's a rewatch. Then maybe I might write something jokingly or something. But if it's a new film, then I write like in-depth reviews on it, and I have a lot of fun with that. And I try to do it every day. So definitely more consistent on Letterboxd opposed to YouTube.
Okay. So, and by the way, like the reviews for Miracle in Milan and also Fifth Chord, you can find on his Letterboxd. He's way more in depth with his reviews. I mean, he writes 3-4 paragraphs on every film, and where I just basically just rate them. I rarely write a review, and I don't know. There's like certain moments where I like write something, but I always, what I've been doing from day one on my Letterboxd, as far as when I started in 2017, is just keeping a log of what I watch. So it's kind of cool to go back and put in or watch or read everything that I've watched from 2017. Basically, just new releases and first time watches are on there. So, and again, you can find the Cinema Snobs VR show every Saturday at 11 p.m. Pacific time, which is we're going to show the films that we're going to talk about on the show. And then also on Fridays, or maybe I'm trying to be more consistent, but I'm at least going to do it once a month, is going to bring back the Grindhouse VR, which I was doing for about a year solid every Friday and then sometimes Saturdays. And then I switch back and forth on Saturdays. But anyway, the Grindhouse VR, which is more of the Euro cult and just cult films, horror films, everything like that. And like I said, it's mainly just watching the film. It's not talking. I mean, big screen, as you see, it's a big community of people who like pretty much talk over the movies and stuff. And that's fine. Those could be fun too at certain movies, but my format has always been to just watch and not talk. So literally people come into the room. I put up little banners telling people, that's a no speak, no talking screening, and people are pretty cool and abide to that. And if they're not for some reason, then I just give them the little kick, which you can do. It's really cool. So you really have like regulars, and then you also have people that check out these films for the first time. And then afterwards, we can discuss it. Then we go into another room similar to this, talk about the movies, make a community. So yeah, but that's, like I said, that's Grindhouse VR, but Cinema Snobs is similar, but it's basically focused on the shows, or the films, I should say, that we'll be doing on the show. So thanks. This is our first show. It was, I don't know. What'd you think? How did you think it went? First show, a little,
It went
gotta
good.
get the rundown a little there. Yeah. Anything to add at all? No?
No.
Alrighty. Well, that's show one. I don't know. This green fellow over here will be opening up. He's a man of a million words written, but not as much spoken, but I'm sure that'll change in time. All right. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next month.